Today I am joined with the Besson Sovereign bass trombone. The model number is BE943. This particular model is silver plated, although it does come in the gold plated variants. I believe you can get one with an enlarged bell, 10.5 inches with rose brass on it. So it had the usual sorts of variants on the finish that you could order. I don't believe this is made anymore. I don't think Besson actually have a bass trombone which they make anymore. I had a quick look on their website and it seems that they're just sort of caretaking some of their older models. Some of the I think they only have a student model trombone advertised on there nowadays, but in its day this was a fantastic brass band aimed trombone. This particular example isn't in optimal condition, which is quite a shame. The valves are now quite clunky. And I have no experience with servicing these particular types of valves, so I'm not going to fix this myself. A couple of things to point out though, of course, it has Hagman style valves. Now I'm not going to try the correct French pronunciation of that name, but it's got two of them in line. Unlike on a normal bass trombone where you'd have the first one in F and the second one in G flat, this trombone comes out of the factory with it in B flat to F and to G. This tuning slide is not as long as it would be on a standard bass trombone. In addition to this configuration, you also get this additional tuning slide, which fits on the instrument right there. Now, this alternative means that when you've got both triggers combined together, instead of pitching the instrument in D, it pitches the instrument in the key of E flat instead. Personally, I'm not convinced that that was a great move. Perhaps one of the reasons why they did that is because brass instruments in a brass band are either in B flat or E flat, and perhaps by having the second trigger available in this particular configuration, it might make the instrument a little bit more versatile. Not sure if that was part of their thinking, but it doesn't really work, and it's quite interesting. It's quite awkward for a trombonist who's used to the normal B flat F G flat D configuration to suddenly be presented with a trombone that's got a B flat F G E flat configuration. Or if you put this tuning slide in and flatten it, you can get to D. You can get to D, but it's an obscure tuning. It really is quite unusual to go from a regular bass trombone to go to this bass trombone because it is not standard. It is quite an unusual configuration. This bass trombone currently belongs to the Wellington South Salvation Army Brass Band, of which I am currently Deputy Bandmaster and Principal Cornet. And because I've been associated with that band for a number of years, I actually had the honour of playing this instrument when it was brand new, well, almost brand new. So I remember this instrument quite well from when it was in immaculate condition, and I can say that these Hagman valves are probably my favourite type of valve. It's not uncomfortable to play. They don't look as clumsy as the Thayer valves can look. I like this flow of them. I like the way they feel, and for me, when I go to play down low, they give the right amount of back pressure to ensure that my ear is just not completely expelled when I'm playing a low single trigger or a double trigger note. This instrument though, I find really uncomfortable to hold. The slide, the width of the slide here is a lot higher than I'm used to. You take that and think, oh, it's a trombone that's going to be designed for people with big hands. Well, I am a person with big hands and it's not comfortable. And although the width of the slide here is greater than what you would come to expect, this trombone is actually more comfortable to hold if you have smaller hands. And the reason for that is because of the placement of the first thumb paddle and the second trigger lever. See, my normal grip for a trombone would be like this, which is not possible because my index finger precludes me from being able to depress the first lever. So I have to hold it in the traditional method. And unfortunately, I have to sort of cock my hand back a bit because if I hold it where it's comfortable, my thumb completely goes over the first trigger and it's not really all that easy to hold. But the downside of having my hand reversed in this manner is that suddenly the lower flesh of my hand here runs the risk of being pinched in the slide. As a trombonist, there is nothing worse than closing the slide here and getting a little bit of skin pinched in there. It is one of the most painful things to happen. These valves, these are the Hagman valves. They were developed, I think, sometime in the 1990s, and they're designed to resolve some of the issues that are apparent with rotary valves. Now what makes a trombone special is that it doesn't have a whole lot of bends, twists and curves to the tubing. If I take this tuba for a moment, we'll see that the airflow goes into the valve casing. We've got a huge number of twists and turns and bends, and then when the sound exits the valve casing, it goes through another series of loops and more loops and so forth. And each bend in the airflow increases the amount of resistance that a player is going to experience when they blow air through that instrument. What makes the trombone unique is that when you don't play with triggers, you've got a bend at this end and you've got a bend at this end, and that's it. They are the only bends that are in a trombone. When we add triggers, we interrupt that airflow and we introduce additional bends into the instrument, and that creates back pressure. It means the instrument isn't as free flowing. So with standard rotary valves like this, the first bend is a really sharp 90-degree bend, and then we have the various bends associated with the wrap, and then we have either a 90-degree bend as we have here, or a 180-degree bend as we have here, and those bends are introduced into the tubing of the instrument. That creates a whole lot of back pressure, and it's one of the reasons why different valve types were developed to try and get over the issue of having all that differing back pressure. All that back pressure results in a different experience, both to produce the notes that you're looking for, and also when you're hearing them, they affect the tone of the instrument. Hagman valves, as I said, are one of my favourites, and they make a really good effort on trying to reduce the number of, not necessarily reduce the number of bends, but reduce how sharp those bends are. So if we press the first trigger, we've got the tubing that comes through here. It exits in a manner here. It's not even close to a 90-degree angle. It's about a 45-degree angle. And we've got a gentle curve around here, a wide 180-degree turn at the top of the tuning slide here, and then as we get into the bottom of the instrument here, we've got another about a 45-degree angle, and the sound continues on its way. Now that makes the instrument a whole lot more comfortable to play down low. It doesn't increase the back pressure that a player will experience, and it makes lower notes more consistent, more easy to hit, more easy to achieve, and more easy to play in a stable manner. Hagman valves are only really one of 2 or 3 different types of valves that I've played with extensively, and if I ever purchase a new bass trombone in the future, they will be what I look for. Hagman valves are pretty much my favourite. I haven't played a Thayer valve trombone that has really tickled my pickle in the same manner. I will give you guys a brief demonstration on how this trombone sounds, but do be aware the valves are really clunky, particularly that second valve, and it is an instrument that is past its best, unfortunately. That's not a limitation of the instrument, but dare I say it, a limitation of the people who have had custodianship of this instrument over its lifetime. Unfortunately, I'm not really up to playing this piece with this instrument. And it's a bit of a shame that this instrument, I'm not able to give you a very good demonstration of its actual capabilities. More, I'm quite curtailed by the capabilities of this particular example. But in general terms, what to take away from this review is that it has a non-standard second trigger arrangement. You'll find it, unless you're aware of what to expect when you come to play this, you will find tuning really, really odd. The trombone uses Hagman style valves. I love these sort of triggers personally. The hold is not very comfortable. If you've got larger hands, unfortunately, I don't recommend this instrument for you, because in order to get your hands comfortably on the trigger, you're going to always run the risk of having the bottom part of your hand pinched in the slide grip, which is incredibly painful. It's worse than standing on Lego. But the build quality of this instrument when it is new is fantastic. I absolutely loved playing on this when this instrument was in its prime. I love the silver finish on it. It means that you can polish it really nicely. Thanks for watching, guys, and unfortunately I don't really have any more bass trombones at my disposal, or that I can access to do more reviews, so this type of video is going to be a little bit less common in the future, but whenever I get an instrument available to me to do a review on, I will of course put it up here on YouTube. Thanks very much for watching.